Hello, dear viewers. Today I'm going to tell you about this very important topic, that is how to connect MySQL with Python. So, in this chapter, we will be discussing about how we can connect the Python script with MySQL. And before we start implementing that, let's first understand that why do we need to connect Python with MySQL. See, dear students, what happens is when you are designing a real life application, you encounter certain situations where you need to manipulate data that is stored in a database through an application that is designed by you. So here, the application that is being designed in Python using the Python script, and that forms the front end. Whereas the data, the data is stored in the database that is the MySQL, and that is in the backend. So if at all you need to establish a connection between the front and backend, you can do it using Python and MySQL. Now, in order to connect to a database from within Python, the first and the foremost requisite is you need a library that provides connectivity functionality. Now, there are many different libraries available for Python to accomplish this. For example, MySQL.connector, MySQLDB, PyMySQL. In this session, we are going to use MySQL.connector. Now, before we move on to the code, how do we install the library? First, let's have a look at what exactly is a library. See, library basically is a collection of modules that together cater to specific types of needs or applications. You must have heard about NumPy library. Here we are going to import the or install the mysql.connector, which will help in the connection process and retrieving the data as well. So without any delay, now let's have a quick look at the steps for creating database connectivity. The steps are: you need to start Python, you need to import the packages required for database programming, open a connection database, create a cursor instance, execute a query, extract data from results set, and clean up the environment. Now, before we do all this, let's have a quick look how we can install the mysql.connector. So to install the mysql.connector, you first need to find out the path where your Python is installed. So here, and what you can do is just press the Windows and R key, and you can find the path where the Python is installed. If you are unable to find, you can locate it using this option from here. You will be able to locate where your Python is installed, or through the IDLE as well. Now, once you open using the run dialog box, if you click on OK, you will see that this particular folder has opened. Now here, and what you need to do is you need to click on the scripts folder. Once you click on the scripts folder, just press the shift key and right click. So when you press the shift key along with the right click, you will see this option, open PowerShell Windows over here. This is one of the methods. The second method is that you can go directly to the command prompt and open it. So when you click over here, you will see that the path which you have, the folders which are opened over here are displayed. Now here, and you need to give a command which is known as pip install mysql.connector. So first and foremost, in case if you do not have mysql.connector, then please install it in the scripts folder of the Python files, wherever your Python files are installed. Just press enter. Now, in case if I start doing this, it is going to give me a message that the requirement is already satisfied, as it is already there in my computer. You people, in case if you do not have it, it may start installing, but the foremost requisite over here is you should have internet connection. Now, since it is already installed in my computer, I'll move on to the next step. As I told you, you can even open the Windows prompt and do it. So there also you can change the path and you can start giving this command. Now moving to the second step, in case if your Python is installed, so the next thing that you need to do is import the packages required for the database programming. Now, which package am I talking about? I'm talking about the mysql.connector. So once we have installed mysql.connector, then I need to import the package. And the third thing that I need to do is the opening the connection database. Now, how do we do it in Spider or in Python? Let's have a quick look. Here is my Spider program. If my mysql.connector is installed, I can write, if it is, if it gets installed, then if I execute this statement, then it will not reflect any error. So let me save and execute this file. You will see that no error has been displayed over here. Then we will create the connection object. Now, as you can see, this step, that once you have installed the mysql.connector, I can import mysql.connector package. Another way of installing mysql.connector package is using an alias over here, sqltor or any other name. We will see that also. And the next option or the next step is to open a connection to MySQL database. Now, once you have imported the package, you need to use a connect function of mysql.connector to establish connection to a MySQL database. Now this connect function, it requires 4 parameters. Which are these 4 parameters? First is the username. The username is the username on MySQL. Second is the password of the user, that is the SQL password. Then the host, the database server host name or IP address. Fourth is the database. It is optional. In case if you are connecting to a particular database, you can give, otherwise you may skip this part. So here is the code of how to write this particular statement. Here I have taken import mysql.connector. I have taken mysql.connector, the alias name over here, that is sqltor. Now here in this command, I can replace mysql.connector with sqltor and use the connect function to connect to my database, providing these 4 parameters. As you can see, the host is generally the local host. How can you find this? We are going to check. The user is the root and the password is the password of your MySQL. And in case if you wish to connect to a particular database, you may put the name over here. Now in this step, we are trying to establish a connection through a connection object. So mycon is the connection object over here. If you do not have any particular database with which you want to connect, since we are going to create a database over here, you can skip that part and you can write the code like this. So what exactly is a database connection object? Database connection object basically controls the connection to the database. So it represents a unique session with a database connected from within a script or program. The next thing that we need to do in this program is to create a database cursor. Now, what is this database cursor going to do? Database cursor basically facilitates row by row processing of records in the result set. That is the set of records retrieved as per query. So we will just have a quick look at how to do this in Python. We can first start creating a connection. So you can see my con is equals to MySQL dot connector dot connect, and here what I'm going to do is, first I'm providing a host, that is the local host. How do I find out that this is the host over here? I will show you how you can find out using the MySQL command. Current user, and what I need to do is just give the password. Let me save. If I wish to find out my host and the user, I can do it using the select current user command. You will see here that the username is displayed at a particular station which is called as a localhost. So root is the user and localhost is the host over here. So far we have established a connection over here. Now the next step that we are going to see is how to create a database cursor. So to create a database cursor, I will create a cursor object over here. I will use the connection object. Using the cursor function, I will create a cursor object. Now what is the use of this cursor object? Basically what happens is, the cursor object is called as the cursor instance over here. So you can create the cursor object using the cursor method of the connection object. We need to create this because usually when we connect to a database from within a script or program, then the query gets sent to the server where it gets executed, and the result set, the entire set of records retrieved per query, is sent over the connection to you in one burst. That means all records are sent simultaneously. Now what we need to do is, we need to retrieve data one at a time from a result set, unlike the SQL commands which operate on all the rows in the result set at one time. So cursors are used when the user needs to update records in a singleton fashion or in a row by row manner in a database table. So for this we have created the cursor object. Now once we have created the cursor object, let's understand what is the result set. The result set basically refers to a logical set of records that are fetched from the database by executing an SQL query, and it is made available to the application program. So you can see so far we have written this code, and the next step that we need to perform is, now we have to execute an SQL query. Now this SQL query could be to create a database, to check if the database exists, to create the table, to show the table, to print a table row or column, to execute the where statement, update table. So for this, what we will have to do is we will have to call the execute function. Now, how this execute function works? It works with the cursor object. Let's have a quick look how we can execute. Using the cursor object, I can execute a query. Now, to execute this query, I will have to put over here what do I want to do in case if I wish to create a database. So I will have to write the command over here, create database. If I'm not sure which databases I have in my SQL, I can use the show databases command to find out which databases are there. These are the databases which are there in case if I wish to create a new database which doesn't exist already. I can write over here create database. Suppose I wish to create a database, create database student 12. I can use the cursor instance, use the execute function, and I can do that. If the database gets created, the command print database created will flash on the screen. So let me save it and execute. So it says database created, and I can go to my SQL and check once again. Do I have student 12? Yes, my database has been created. So this is how we can execute a query, SQL query from within Python. What all we need to understand over here? Let's revise quickly. In this slide, I've taken the example. Here my cursor name is my MC, that represents my cursor. I can take up any query and I can put it in the round brackets as an argument, as a string value, and I can execute from Python. The rest of the queries, that is displaying certain records, updating records, insert queries, we will see in our next video. Now let's have a quick recap of what all we have done so far. So the first step is to start Python. In case if the Python installer, the mysql.connector is not there, you can install it. The second step is to import the packages required for database programming. The third is to open a connection database. The fourth one is to create a cursor instance. And the fifth one is to execute a query. In our subsequent videos, we are going to see how to extract data from the result set and how to clean up the environment. Thank you so much for watching. Please do subscribe, like, and share the video and continue to watch the videos.